Alright, YouTube. It's been a while. I don't know, I'm gonna get on a better schedule here, but I just have a quick little video that I wanted to do. There are a lot of noises going on, hopefully you can't hear any of it. Okay, so this is a cassette tape. You probably know what a cassette tape is, but this one is an old cassette tape, a really old cassette tape. And I actually know the history of this cassette tape because I got it from the original owner. And the original owner was one of the few people who got a demo unit from Philips when the compact cassette was first introduced. And this is the cassette that came with it. So, what I understand from that, at least, is that this cassette was manufactured before the cassette was publicly available, which is pretty interesting. I mean, it looks like a pretty ordinary old cassette tape, but it's like a really old cassette tape. I think it's from 1963 or 1964, and it is probably one of the first cassette tapes ever manufactured. So let's just go compare it to a modern cassette tape, this 100-minute Type 2 max cell tape here. So I mean, they look very similar. I mean, the format has to look similar for it to be a standard. If they looked too different, then they wouldn't be compatible. I mean, the main visual difference is no write protect notches on the top, which is pretty normal. Most old cassette tapes from the 60s didn't have write protect notches anyway. No, like, detect notches either. That was all later, and this is only Type 1 too. Technically, I mean, it's probably not even. This is before the IEC cassette tape types were a thing, even. So this probably sounds really bad, is what I'm trying to get at here. So another thing that can't come across on camera, but I can tell you, is that this is a heavy tape. It is built very well. It's made in Holland. It says right there. It's got bolts in it. Like, I've never seen that before. Most cassettes, I mean, it's probably standard for these old cassettes. People that have more of these can probably tell me that, oh, that's normal. But I've just never seen a tape that's bolted like that. Normally it's just self-tapping plastic screws that go in there like that, and they tap into the plastic, and that's more than enough. But this one just used a freaking bolt. So, yeah, and the other thing that I noticed with this tape is this is one of the first tapes ever manufactured, the first cassette tapes. And with it, some of my least favorite things with cassettes, they weren't present on this tape. Some, like, serious design flaws weren't here. And the design flaw that I'm most commonly talking about here is with the pressure pad. This tape, you'll probably also see what's wrong with it here. This tape has a spring-loaded fabric pressure pad and that little piece of copper in there. And that keeps the tape nice and taut up against the play and record head, and it also doesn't really wear out that easily because it's on like a little spring. But with cheaper tapes like this Memorex tape, Star Wars, they just use a chunk of foam in the bottom. And that, I hate tapes that do this, because these chunks of foams, they just disintegrate over time, and then they get pretty unplayable. And the other thing I don't like is, I mean, not really a big deal, and I still have plenty of tapes that have this, and this, I mean, these are all just money-saving things, I imagine. But the sonically fused cassette shell, I mean, it's so common that I don't really care. But since I'm the kind of person who likes modifying their cassette tapes and repairing their cassette tapes, these are a real pain in the ass to deal with, so I don't really like that. But that's whatever, that's pretty common and something I have to deal with. But the stupid fabric pressure pads, that was something that came along. I can't talk today. That's something that came along later. The first cassette tape ever made, which is what I'm going to call this, even though it's probably most definitely not, did not have that stupid chunk of foam as the pressure pad in there. So yes, that's this tape. That's it compared to other tapes that are newer. And you can see it's very similar. But the other thing I wanted to do in this video is repair this, because you saw when I was showing you the pressure pad, there's no tape in here. And there is tape. What happened is that when I got this, I guess I technically broke it. I was, wound it with the Bic pen, and to look at the tape, see what condition it was in, and then the adhesive that was used to splice the leader tape to the audio tape just died. It's so old that it just didn't have any stick left in it. And so I just want to go and repair this enough that I can listen to what's on it. And since I know the person that owned this tape, if it's like got personal family stuff, I'm not going to play it. But also knowing the person who I got this tape from, it's either got personal family stuff or easy listening music. And in that case, I will share it with you. But let's just screwdrivers. Let's get in here. And I'm also gonna, of course, going to revert all these changes that I make, but this is a pretty historical cassette tape considering how old it is. So don't worry if you're like gonna type in the comments, you're destroying history. I know. I'm gonna put everything back in its broken state. I just want to play it and see what's on it. Oh, that's interesting. The screw in the middle here is longer than the screws in the edges. There's so much, this is built so well. I've never seen a cassette tape built this well in my life. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get back on a better upload schedule too. Just kept putting this off and it was dumb. But I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep going. Alright, we're in. I've been waiting to do this for a while. I'm pretty interested in this. So they do, it's quite remarkable how little the cassette mechanism has changed. They still have the slip pads. I don't really know exactly what these are called. I'm making things up. I like to call myself a cassette expert, but I make up a lot of this terminology here. But yeah, this is just a little plastic sheet that prevents the tape from getting caught on the shell. There have definitely been improvements to this on more modern tapes. You get ridges in here to improve the winding and everything, but that's still there. It's just so well built. I really like the build quality on this. That little roller there is solid plastic too, and it's also on these little metal spikes instead of it being a separate molded part of the shell, which I always like to see when they're on the little metal rod. I think it's a sign of a quality cassette tape. So yeah, you can see there what happened. And judging by the condition of that leader tape, I don't have high hopes for this being in good shape, but it's so old. What do you expect? And that's kind of interesting too. That is a different design for holding this little pressure pad in than I've seen before. It's got a little, it's gonna be really hard to see on camera since I can't really see what I'm recording either. Hopefully this is working. Oh wow, this whole thing comes out. Whoa. That's so different. That's the first thing that I've seen that is really quite different. Yeah, it was normally, you see I got my cassette tape part bag here. I can go pull out a normal pressure pad. Yes, I have way too many cassette tapes. Normal pressure pad, you get these, it's a little hooked, this is probably not going to focus, but you get this little hooked edge that hooks around two little plastic posts in the cassette mechanism. And that's what I expected to see, but this one, the whole metal back that it acts as the, to stop the pressure pad from going too far back, it's a whole thing, it's a whole mechanism in itself that holds the pressure pad in place and holds it's attached to the back, and it's also got these nice little rubber things that, not really rubber, they're hard plastic that guide the tape along, keep it in good shape. Yeah, I wish there were more tapes that were built this well nowadays. Especially modern tapes. Don't want to be mean to the National Audio Company, because I'm sure they make good tapes, but modern tapes, this Sony one. Here, hang on. Yes, I have a cassette tape drawer. They just really stopped caring, and so you just get the fused shell. You don't get any piece of metal in there and I can actually see there is a slot for the piece of metal to prevent this from getting pushed so far back that it pulls out, but it's not in there. They didn't care. The forp. What am I trying to... The forp. The forp. I was trying to say the tape. I don't know where that came from. The tape formulation. Oh, that's where it came from. The tape formulation is pretty low grade. It's a very... This is a Type 1 tape, and it's a very red Type 1 tape. I don't have one on hand now, but I've seen older Sony HF cassettes, and they have a much higher grade ferric oxide. It's more of a dark, probably like a cobalt ferric. I mean, yeah, they just stopped caring later on, so I wish more tapes like this existed. But unfortunately, considering the quality of the actual recording tape inside, it's not like I'm going to be using this anytime soon, so I'll rather use the Sony HF cassette that's kind of crap quality, because it will sound better than this, because this is technically what's called a Type 0 cassette, because it's probably reel-to-reel tape inside of a cassette shell. It's not wound very well either in there. Ooh, yeah, look at that tape. That is crusty. Okay, so I am just going to cut that little bit off. That's going to be the only thing that gets thrown away. I'm just going to cut this little bit of adhesive off. That's what failed there. And I am just going to get another hub, and I'm going to struggle with this tape. It's really annoying to do, to get this tape clipped into the hub. Then I'll wind it back through the cassette, and I will play what's on it, and we will see if it's something that might be interesting. So we've got a bunch of these little cassette hubs. Give me a moment. So, we take the tape. Ooh, I'm probably gonna need some pliers for this. It does take a decent amount of force sometimes. So I'm gonna get these ready in case I need it. We take the tape and we lay it down onto the hub, try to get it straight. And the white balance on this camera is pretty bad. I'm trying out different cameras, and I'm trying to get the best quality video, so sorry if this is not the best quality. I'll try to fix any white balance issues in post-production, and I will eventually find the perfect camera. Okay, so... Oh, that clipped in there nicely. Alright. That was pretty painless. It's nice that it went better now that I'm actually trying to do something. Okay. So. Here we have... Just have to feed this tape back through the mechanism. Oh, crap. Kind of need that roller there, don't we? Yeah. Okay. It goes that way around. So yeah, I am going to revert this too. I'll put this back in there, and I'll keep it broken. I just want to see what's on this tape. And I'll put everything back the way that it was when I found it, because I don't want to mess up a piece of history like this. This is definitely... I think this was made before the cassette was publicly available. That is not a good job that I did there. There we go. Alright, looking pretty good. I think that'll do the trick just fine. Okay. Tape is back. It's not the smoothest mechanism for sure. It takes a little bit of force. Okay. I'm just going to put this back together now. I think this might be a little bit of a pain to get the little nut in here. And I guess I won't miss this too much. It is a lot easier to repair modern tapes, so you don't need to deal with the little nut and bolt thing. But it is still nice to see, because they put a lot of care into this. And this is the only 60s compact cassette that I have, believe it or not, so I can't say for sure if they kept this nut and bolt solution, or if they got rid of it because it was too difficult and too expensive. I mean, I imagine this was not cheap and probably took a lot more work to do than just having a screw that threads into plastic. But I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find another 60s cassette. But if you're watching this video and you have another 60s cassette that's not really, really old, like probably like 66, let's say 1966, around there, and let me know if it's got this bolt pattern on there, as I really don't know. And there we go. It's in there pretty well. That was one of the smoother cassette repairs. I have struggled a lot more with the tape before than I have theirs, which is nice. Don't need to show how incompetent I am on video. Alright. I do not want to go and get out my Nakamichi, so I am going to use La Crap. A cheap little tape player that'll just get the job done. So this is kind of a good tape player for making like ambient music though, because it's got the speed control and this like weird step control. I can probably show it to you for fun while we're on here. Let me turn that down. Yeah, okay. Alright, are you ready? Let's see. It's blank. Oh my god. Well, that's depressing. Let me fast forward a little bit. Well, that's pretty uneventful. I was like, oh, we're gonna uncover some 1960s history recorded on this tape, and it's got nothing on it. Yep. Maybe if I flip it over. This side has an X on it. Maybe that marks the spot. Nope. Oh, the other thing is that the speed control affects the rewind speed, too. Well, this is a disappointment, then. I mean, you did get to see a very old cassette tape, but there's nothing on it. We at least got to look at a 1963, probably. Actually, the guy got it wrote me a letter with it. I'll go and get that real quick. In late 1963 or early 1964. Yeah, it was given. He got it with the very first commercial cassette machine, which was produced by Philips in Holland for testing. So I assume that means he got a demo unit, and this cassette and a couple of others accompanied it. Yeah, and yeah, he was just the consumer test for seeing so Philips could get like feedback from the consumer, and they said that he could keep the machine. And oh, that's nice of him. He also says that when he finds the machine, he'll also give it to me. So maybe in the future, we will get to look at a demo Philips cassette recorder as well, to go with my demo Philips cassette tape. Some interesting history there, and I hope you enjoyed looking at this tape. And I think for now, to end the video, let's go listen to Star Wars Side 1. Maybe go play around with the variable speech control on this crappy cassette transcriber. That sounds awful. Even for this. This is what happens when you don't have any pressure pad left. If I played this in a good tape player, it'd also sound like this. Well, if this channel ever gets monetized, it's now been demonetized. Let's go. Well, since this was such a disappointment, we can listen to this, and I can show off my tape deck that sounds awful. This is getting off topic, so I'm just going to end the video here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe or whatever, since I only have like 5 subscribers. And I will make more cassette videos, more server videos, more electronics videos in the future. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe. So yeah, thanks for watching.